Live at Onigashima! I'm Anthony.
And I'm Jimmy, and we have chapter 1098, The Birth of Bonnie,
Crazy.
which already off the bat proves a lot of things of what I said wrong last week, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. There's a lot of, well, not necessarily, and we'll get into it, but I think there's, as dark as this chapter was, to be honest, I think it can get darker. And I have a theory behind it, so we'll see, but supposedly, we'll talk about Bonnie's age this chapter. That was like a big point of contention. Start with the cover story real quick. I know that everybody has been talking about the fact that we got some scribbles this chapter. Oda did not finish the chapter. He wrote it in the cover story. Well, he didn't finish the art of it, he said it on Brooke's leg that the message was, this chapter's manuscript is unfinished, sorry, by Oda. It's a good cover art, and I
Honestly
hope
though, I
good.
don't think, it's nice of him to say sorry, but he needs the break. This was 3 chapters in a row, which I know used to be standard, but it's been a while since we got that post-surgery and stuff. I think he needs the break for sure, so
Yeah,
I'm not
agree,
upset by
I
it.
agree.
And other mangaka have done this too, where they've turned in chapters like this.
For sure.
It always gets touched up in the final volumes and stuff. So
Yeah. So it's fine, and like honestly, we're here for the content, so let's talk about it. We get to see directly after what happened last chapter.
See the bum ass dragon not doing anything for Jenny.
Dude.
We have Kuma like, I'm going after them, and Dragon's like, nah, let her die.
The dragon is like, okay. Literally just like didn't turn around.
I will say that, like, in Dragon's defense, I'm pretty sure they knew. They're like, oh, if it's from a celestial dragon, it's gonna be a Marijuana. It's impossible to get there. Like, it's a literal suicide mission.
Blah. Look
So,
what
like,
Luffy did to save
Luffy
Robin.
Luffy didn't invade Marijuana.
Okay, but with just the same amount of knowledge, like the reason why Dragon didn't do it is because like, even though Luffy was outmatched in situations like Marineford or Enies Lobby, like, he did it anyways. This is why Luffy is the chosen one and not fucking Dragon.
And I agree, but like, that's why Luffy's the GOAT. Like, I can't compare Dragon to Luffy.
Yes,
I can't compare anyone to Luffy.
Absolutely you can, because they're father and son. He's a bum.
Not really. Abandoned him at birth.
Yeah, I know. Shit.
They're like by blood only.
Yeah, well, Kuma would never. Kuma starts taking care of Bonnie's child, so this kind of confirms
Jenny's child.
Jenny's child. Yeah, so this kind of, it confirms that like Kuma is not the father, which is very sad, and it's a kind of a throwback to, in Sabori, what happened when we saw, like, right before we saw Zoro get saved by Bonnie.
Yeah, when Charles was trying to steal a woman, he's like, "You're my wife now."
Yeah,
and like, we see the repercussions of what this can cause,
right.
Which is also how I think Jenny and therefore Bonnie got that diseases. I think it's a disease of the celestial dragons, honestly.
Yeah, because she
like,
didn't have
it could be
before.
like some type of like STD that they have or some shit.
Oh god, that's like horrifying, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Holy shit. But yeah, so now we know
where she didn't have it before.
No, yeah, she had to have gotten it from them. I don't know if it was like that. I guess so. It could have been, but.
And it was probably like, once they saw her with the disease, they threw her out, and that's probably how she got out. Like,
right, or she just like escaped somehow with, because I would imagine they might want to preserve the child, because technically Bonnie's a celestial dragon, right?
That's what this would imply, yeah.
Yeah.
So she might have celestial dragon blood.
Yeah, so
which is probably why they're trying to kill her. That, among other reasons, probably, like, they.
But they also, it's an interesting throwback to like the whole what Akainu said, after he found her on the island, like after she had gotten captured by Blackbeard, that he's like, oh my, there's, it sent chills down my spine to see you, that you had escaped again. So like, he was happy that they were able to keep her. I wonder if he was talking about this incident when she got out as like a baby.
It could have been, because we don't really see where she would get caught, right? Like, assumedly, like, I think they're gonna go find Vegapunk, and that's how Bonnie's gonna get cured of this disease, because like, Obviously, she
Hmm.
has to get cured. It's
Yeah.
very reminiscent, and they even alluded to it in this
Well,
chapter of like Law's sickness with the amber-led disease.
I
So
y-
I think,
I have another theory.
well, hold on. I think that they're going to Vegapunk, and he's not necessarily gonna cure it like in a doctor sense, but I think it's gonna be similar to how like Law cured himself by getting a devil fruit basically. And I think Bonnie's essentially gonna be aging herself into like alternate realities because we saw like when she transforms, she can go into different versions of herself.
Mhm.
So maybe she's just a version of herself without the sickness constantly, and that's how the age fruit like helped her cure it.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be something like that. I could totally see that. The other theory that I had is like darker, but kind of lends itself to the clone theory. So the idea is that this does kill her, and Kuma then later after that finds Vegapunk, and asks to like clone her for whatever reason, like to bring her back. Um, I don't know if that would necessarily like. I think your thing sounds more plausible, but
I feel like that could happen, and it's so dark. But
yeah,
I don't know if Oda has it in him to kill a child like that. To be honest,
yeah,
like
I agree. I mean, this is a pretty dark chapter all around, but like so now we know where Bonnie gets her epithet, jewelry.
yeah,
Um, Kuma gave her that name, which is cute. Kuma, best dad in the series, by far, already.
100%. Well, it's another one of those instances of like it's like inherited fatherhood, right? Like he's not
Mhm.
her actual father. Same with like Whitebeard would be considered another one
Yeah,
of the best dads, right? And he's not like any of their actual fathers,
yeah.
except Weevil, who
But
is
this is
not.
like he's doing like dad things. Like he's like changing her
Yeah.
diapers and shit. um,
Well, I also like how in this chapter, were cutting around to different parts of stuff we knew with the Revolutionary Army, like how they went to Goa, and then after they mention that, you see them like with Sabo training Kuma, or the other way
yeah.
around. My bad.
Yeah, it was cool to see kind of like the progression. So it looks like Bonnie was trapped there for a number of years, just like in this church, which is crazy. Um, and
I mean, speaking of a number of years with Bonnie, like you mentioned
yeah.
earlier, like the whole thing with their age is like disproven. Like, if you just do the math, she's 12 in the current like storyline,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
as she was 5, 7 years ago.
Yeah. For real.
So it makes sense a lot more for actions. I didn't necessarily think it was gonna happen. I was more along the clone theory thing, but yeah, went and did it. It was Occam's razor, the most obvious choice when they just kept throwing out the word
She
child,
was
child,
a child.
child.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the thing. Is like she kind of has to confirm to be a child now, because like so that makes her what
I mean,
like
the introduction
12
of her being a
here.
child, like all the
She's
evidence we kept bringing up before, and then this
yeah.
just confirms
So she's like a 12-year-old, right? Something like
it.
that
In like
in
real
like modern
timeline,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. So some people got some explaining to do. That's all I'm gonna say.
Some people are on watch.
Some people are. We're gonna give them. Yeah, they're on the FBI most wanted now. But anyways,
But
the
it's cool to see how Bonnie was like always a fighter also though. Like you can see she inherited all her like traits from like Jenny and stuff.
mhm,
So
yeah, I agree. It's really interesting to see. I want to know when she gets the age fruit, like you said. Like I think there's a couple more steps to this story that we haven't. This chapter completely focused on like just this aspect of like Kuma and the world building of
yeah,
it.
like the
Kind of
it was just like the relationship between Bonnie and Kuma,
right. So
which I think is about to make this whole next part after we get out of the flashback like hit so much harder. Like you got to remember when we cut back to it. Well, first of all, Bonnie saw all of this, so like she knows exactly what happened to her mom now and
right.
stuff. Like so it like makes sense why like she couldn't handle it and stuff. But then when we cut back, she's being held up in front of a firing squad.
I
Like
know,
holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah. So how many more chapters do you think we got until we get back to that? I think like maybe one or two. This flashback's pretty
That's
extensive. This is like a real flashback.
Yeah, this is definitely a real flashback. Every arc needs one. I think we definitely need at least one more because, like we said, I think
Yeah.
like Kuma needs to meet up with Vegapunk at some point. We know Bonnie's been to Egghead. She mentioned it earlier in the arc,
Hmm.
but we really don't need more than that. We need, I guess, the whole thing about Kuma being a tyrant.
I
But
think
I
that's
think
what we're gonna
we're
get in the
literally,
next chapter.
yeah, I think we're leading into that, and then So maybe we get the tyrant stuff because we see at the end of the chapter how the kings come back to Sorbet Kingdom, and he's like, "Oh, we're enacting the plan. We're
Yeah,
cutting
and
off
I
the
think
floor."
it's looking more likely now that like Kuma's gonna be blamed for his actions, or like it's gonna be flipped in some stupid way where like Kuma's blamed for like resisting this guy, or you
So
know.
what I think is about to happen is we're gonna get something similar to Sabaody, where it looks like Kuma is like sending these people away to die, but he's really saving them. So I think he's gonna be going and
Oh,
saving all the
interesting.
poor people, and like sending them to places where they're safe.
That'd
But
be kind of
everyone
cool.
around him looks like he's killing them. They're disappearing
Yeah,
instantly when he
yeah, yeah.
touches them.
That's crazy. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy. Um, so
I mean,
we do also see yeah, so I mean, I wonder if after this, then like this whole thing will play out, and then he'll go like see Vegapunk. Maybe he has to send Bonnie away somewhere, to like get her out of this situation. You know, like I wonder what's gonna happen with Bonnie during.
but the thing is, I feel like they have to get Bonnie to Vegapunk without just like using the bubbles, because they said it's like in sunlight, and those bubbles are clear. So I
Mhm.
think the sun can like shine through any of like his stuff. So they have to be extra careful getting there. So I don't know if he can just send Bonnie away, but
Mhm.
I definitely think they have to find Vegapunk. So I think there's gonna be one chapter of him being. Well, honestly, I don't think they need a full chapter of the Tyrant stuff. I think half a
Yeah,
chapter of
that
that,
can be short.
and then maybe like the end half of that chapter, they meet Vegapunk. Then they do a little bit with Vegapunk, and then they come out of the flashback. So I think we have like 1.5 chapters of flashback left.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is a good like, just like world building chapter, character building chapter. Um, just shows more, just gives us more context. Like, and we totally needed
It's
that
one of
for
those
Kuma.
chapters that Oda always needs to write in right before all the big climax of the series. You always get these flashbacks, so we feel even more connected to these characters. And
Before he
like,
rips our heart out.
because I mean, think about it before this arc happened. Like, we knew nothing about Bonnie, and now
hmm
like, I want nothing but her for her to like succeed and be safe and not get shot in the head when we
Of
get out of this
course, yeah.
flashback.
They're all, yeah, yeah. True that.
I think shit's gonna go down soon. Overall, good chapter. Thankfully, I know we say that we don't want the break, but I want Oda to have this break
I'm
next
happy for the
week.
break next week. Honestly, best part about the chapter, Oda gets some rest. Break next
Yeah,
week.
he needs it.
But in the meantime, we definitely will be releasing at least one other video. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We won't keep you guys dry.
But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and fight us in the comments.
Yes, sir. Fight us in the comments. Give us some juicy ideas for videos too. I want to know some versus battles that you guys think might be interesting. I got a few in the noggin that I
We
might
got a
want.
few cooking.
But all right, y'all. Peace out.
Peace.